dan de jo dan dan ba jo jo dan dan jo dan da ju dan be de wa dan da wa ju yeah. Da da ni da 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 nya la ne ba jo je ma nam ga da sun jian dan je de wa dan de wei je dan dan ba jo je dang 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 ge jo dang jo je dang me de de wa me da wa jo je nye ren ja dang yin dang cho dang yo la ne jo je.
May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
Chan za ba dan ju jen sha ba dan ji su ye ram ge jen zo wa ye ge wa ang ge ji za ba dan ji zo Jean George
Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offering, confession, rejoicing, requesting, and praying, I dedicate it for the complete awakening of all beings.
Dorjen Chan Jan De La Na Ro Dan Marabai Chu Je Gan Bo Ba Ba Ma Jo Ja Wa De Gon Ba Ga Ju La Ma Na La Zo Wan De Zerlen Ja Bo Sa Jan La Ma Le Shan Jo San Je De Zi Men On Ne Go Wa Kun La Pen Ban Zi Bai Abadana De Shala Zo Wan De Da Aten De Jan Cho Ma Do Wa Ju Ba Ro Chen Som Ji Nyam Lan Do Shu Ne Yan Jo Sen Jo Jo An Shan Jo Sen Ji Shan De Shi Ba Shu Ji Wa Gan De Yan Da La Ma Dan Da Ne Ba la long je jen sa da lan je yan dan ra zo Dora Jen Chang
Great Vajradhara, Tilopa, Marpa, Milaropa, Dharma Lord Gampopa, Pagmodrupa, and Lord Jikumpa. I pray to all the Kaki Lamas from his guru, King Sirlingpa. He received the nectar medicine of bodhicitta and brought benefit to all sentient beings. I pray to glorious Atisha. From now until I attain enlightenment, may I also practice the three precious lineages, and through this may I perfect sublime bodhicitta and bring benefit to others with my bodhicitta. In all my lives, may I never be separated from the perfect Guru. May I enjoy the glory of the Dharma, perfect the qualities of the bhumis and paths, and quickly attain the state of Vajradhara.
Mandala Bade.
The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the four continents, the sun, and the moon. I visualize and offer these as Buddha fields. May all sentient beings be born in the pure lands. I offer to gurus of three kayas complete, outer, inner, secret, and suchness offerings, taking my body, wealth, and all that there may be. Pray, please grant the unsurpassed supreme city. Om Guru Deva Dakini Rana Mandala Pratisha Soha.
Simchen Namje Zam Tang Loi Jira War Che Jan Demon Ding Baye Chujin Kolo Gordozo.
Please turn the wheel of Dharma of the greater, lesser, and common vehicles according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
Duzum Sanje Dam Jejingo, Redon Jinkor Jamso Chabda, Gadin Some Doje Danyan Kamsum, Juji Jarbo Shabje Bemo Trama Mebal. Gorab the Dude Gosum Kuba Chimbo Gone Jan, Sarchin Jobson Jo, Jewane Terab Jinchua Dam, Jedo Zawa Jimbo Gone. Jesus on the Jushin Jela Banza Zozo, Gongi Jarson Dave Mengum Kazan Zumben Don Rashin, Zembezo, Sandro Zarendo Magazine. To Ginda Magune Jurin Jiden Zom Jinkon, Jave to Wombe Magarbo de Renda Loyan Zorojon, Origin Zolan Bemedon Boat, Jarvenam Ron Junction Jindo, and Sanzo Bay Yadam Sombar. Manjune da lo ben zor jon, jini dang ge jin se ben chen se jin go ra gong jin, ro kun se mo men pa san, lo ru gun de nyen de ju go dang yi shi zhi pa me gong chu yin ka lan ze ba. Jan bar shan ne gu ne ga we zo ge yen chu, yin ro ben ma gar bon zun be sha, le san wo zir dong ge cha wa. Nyingi menzir lo chun jo zorwe yang jen a ge bar mo da ye jang dor jen chong jen de lo na ro tang mar ba me lai chu je gan ba pam mo dra ba jer wan zhu gong ba ga ju la ma na la so wan de wo mi chu je yin je po zhan ne tu zum sang je gun jing a rang sim ju gung zum dong ze be za we la ma na la ge jan za da son ru we lo na chu la ju. Okay, thank you everyone. Be here and online to supporting our program, and also maybe good for every one of us. Hope benefit from this teaching that sort of support our practice or practice that we can carry on in our life. And I sometimes sort of mention that, remind us that the Dharma is not for this life. That's at least in tradition, the Buddhist tradition. And of course, people are wondering what we can do or what we can benefit from Dharma teachings or meditation or practice that we often use. And sometimes I often say that Tibetans, we don't meditate. So meditation is not that important. We practice. So practice is more important than meditation. And of course, people often wondering, we have mindfulness meditation. We only need to fix our mind, and we will be fine. We have everything is mind, but that's sort of truth, but it's in Buddhist practice, it's involved with whole system, the person, body, speech, and mind. You cannot just work mind. And meditation itself is not the solution for everything. So we need to practice holistically. So that's why we have a preliminary practice, main practice, deity yoga practice, visualization, and dissolution or the generation stage or a completion stage. These are very important in our tradition. So mainly in the Tibetan we say Lu Sa Gong. So your body is visualized as a deity or on deity. Lu Sa Gong, or meditate your body as a deity. Ngak Ngak De, so the speech, recite mantra. Same thing in Zikong. So mind meditate or Ting and Zin, the samadhi that you need to practice samadhi. So these three are inseparable. That's why recitations are very, very important in the Tibetan tradition. Probably everyone knows that we have a lot of chantings and practice that's involved with that. So these three are very important. Yeah, we have body, speech, and mind. And when our body is aching and not doing well, then it affects our mind. And then even speech maybe. And then also the speech that we know, the words are very hurtful sometimes if you say not carefully, so that's also important. And mentally, hopefully we all stable, but if we are not stable, then we are still in the samsara, so it doesn't really that much matter, but practice is important. So practice, not just meditation. Mainly, people have fantasy on a meditation that fix everything, and then, especially modern days, we have mindfulness. I still don't understand what they do, or what they meditate, or what subject on, or what kind of meditation they do. But seems better to have some focal point, what you are focusing. And we have tantric practice that, so that's why our mind wants to busy. Then we have a lot of things to do. There is, in a tantra, we have 6 levels of tantra: the kriya, upa, and the yoga, the action tantra, the union tantra, and then the yoga tantra, and then, or metta tantra. And then we have these father tantra, mother tantra, and non-dual tantra. And even non-dual and the highest tantra, we have a famous tantra that Shavrasambhara, that's tradition, our Drupal will lead in July. And then Vajra Tantra, sometimes maybe you heard of or you have done already. And then we have Guhya Samaja Tantra. And then we have Kala Chakra Tantra. These are famous tantras. And then Nyingma tradition, we have Guhya Garbha Tantra. And so these are important tantras. If you practice or you participate, maybe you have chance to participate in Darjeeling, which is Yamantaka or Vajrakalaya. So those are intense practice, Drupchans that, so mainly trying to, our bodies turn into deity's body, and our mind is turned into deity's mind, our speech is turned into our deity's speech, which is mantra. So that is the purpose of all practice of the Tantra. And then we have another practice, 6 yogas of Naropa, if even we can practice through dreams, and sleeping is not a big problem, so you can practice through that as well. So these, most of them are called the tablam, the method, or the means, is the method, path of means, or means of, it helps to the purpose to realize our nature of our mind. So that's why it's important to have, if we are not realized beings, or we cannot rest in our this mind nature, then better to have something else to busy with. So Vajra Yogini or Vajra Kalaya or Hai Vajra to utilize our mind to make meaningful things. That's why visualization is very good for people with busy mind. Sometimes people say, I cannot visualize, that is not my thing. Whenever I sit down and visualize, something else is interrupting my mind, maybe that's another thing. Some people has difficult to sit down to quietly to meditate, they say, I cannot be just quiet. As soon as I sit down and quiet, then something else is occur in my mind that's sort of disrupt, or even some visual things occur. So it's not for everyone would have same thing. It seems individuals have different experience through this practice. So better to choose what you suitable for you. Yeah. And so the main point here, we need to practice holistically. We cannot just practice Mahamudra or Dzogchen, and especially first requirement, preliminary practice that often talk about, and each lineage has preliminary practices. And preliminary practices are probably, you all know what the purpose is and what those are. Usually we have five categories that we need to accumulate 100,000 mantra or the 100,000 recitations each for each, which means there is 500,000 recitations need to be done in preliminary practices. And we have Thakur Rinpoche's 4 dharmas. Everyone probably know what those are. Do you know? So first one is the mind, our mind turn into Dharma, which means we try not to think about this life, means if you can. Then once we pray that our mind sort of turn into Dharma, means we are giving up this life, and then Chu Lam Dundrova means the Dharma, may Dharma become sort of smoothly to accomplish without obstacle. So which means while we are doing Dharma, maybe sometimes all kind of karmic kind of ripens, and we would have aging, sickness, death are nature, but then other stuff could happen. Yeah, there's these days we have more nice disease that may take our body decade much earlier than we want to preserve, to feed good meals and sleep in a good bath. So that's sometimes we cannot control that for sure, but at least we have perseverance to do Dharma that sort of smoothly accomplished in a dharmically. And then on a path, the Lam Dundrova is in the Tibet, Dharma set on a path. Then after we have this path, we would have or any obstacles. Drupal Rinpoche mentioned already, sometimes two practitioners can see things that not there, and then we sometimes jump over from cliff or not purposely commit suicide, but sometimes hurt ourselves too. These kind of obstacles that could happen to that called tests for the practice. So that is the third one. And then a final one is Trulva Yishi Suncharva. May our confusion rise or dawn appear as wisdom. So until that, we will have obstacles we need to practice. The very first one Lo chosen Dawa. May my mind turn into Dharma, which is the four dharmas that change or turn your mind into dharmas that call for mind changings in a preliminary practice. And then step by step you can see preliminary practice, that 5 recitations, and then main practices remove obstacles, and then finally Mahamudra will help us to our confusion known as wisdom. That's easy to say. Of course, always practices involved with people want to meditate. That's a good thing. And the main point here is it's better to have kind of correct understanding when we meditate. What we are doing rather than they sit quietly doesn't count as meditation in this tradition. And especially we talk about these sometimes in the modern days. Devotion and faith are a delicate subject, but if we don't have this, then better not to practice this practice. It doesn't work in that way. And especially the Mahamudra is only realized through devotion. Without devotion, there is no Mahamudra. And Mahamudra, when we say, maybe I say now, then you have maybe a little bit sort of taste that what I directly heard from Garchen Rinpoche one time. I was wondering what's the difference between Mahamudra and Dzogchen. He said the Dzogchen Chikchu practice, the cutting through practice, of course you need to give up all the activities of body, speech, and mind to sit down to then look at your mind. Yeah? That's I introduced here a few times. Maybe most of you already know. If you don't know, you can also ask me, but just sit. Maybe stop. This doesn't work for looking at mind. Sit down. If you want to meditate, this is called maybe meditation. So that the main thing is here, that is mainly the Dzogchen practice is only count the Chikchu practice is if you give up everything to sit down to look at your mind. Mind nature, sometimes called mind, sometimes called mind nature. That doesn't really matter how we say it, but means what we need to look. So according to Garchen Rinpoche, Mahamudra, we don't really introduce at the beginning to my nature to students to sit down, look at your mind. It needs to rise through hardship and practice and devotion. The realization needs to rise through that, through work hard, through practice. You cannot just sit to realize Mahamudra. It's a little bit different. I'm not saying the Dzogchen practice doesn't need anything. Dzogchen, of course, it's the same thing. We have preliminary practice to deity yoga, or the Zalong practice is same thing. But how to introduce the mind nature to student is a little bit different. So the good news for Mahamudra is that we can count whether you are walking, sitting, maybe driving car or riding horse in good days in Tibet. So if you don't lose mindfulness, so we don't really know what does mindfulness means, but the Tibetan core is a Chenxie, the aware of your presence. If you don't losing that part, then it can count as Mahamudra, but not in the Dzogchen Trikyu practice. You have to sit down to look at your mind. So the actual realization slowly rise through blessing and devotion. And there's Gajupa saying, Tondam Sanjik Jibi Yishiti Tsoksa Dreba Takbe Lag Jitang, Togden La Mishilam Kona Le Tab Shen Temba Momba Shibershi. So Tondam Sanjik Jibi Yishi, of course, my English, I don't have English, but the meaning is like this. Tundam, the ultimate reality, Senjiki Biyishi, the core emergence of wisdom. That is what we have. The ultimate reality, which is the core emergence of wisdom. That the realization of that only arise from Tsoksakte Batakpa, accumulating merits or accumulation of merits, and Devatakpa, purification of the obscurations. These two are involved. And then the last part is Tokten Lami Shilapkona, the blessings of the realized master. There's no other methods to realize mind nature. So which shows that the devotion to the teacher or guru is tremendously important in this tradition because the blessing, the guru's blessing, the realized guru's blessing is only come from or bring down through the devotion. Yesterday we talked about the 5 songs of the fivefold Mahamudra. Do you remember? Anyone have English? No? Maybe. Yeah. The guru part.
So is it bodhicitta?
Yeah, the actual, do you have actual writing? There is only 5. All Dugumpas should have these 5 parts. Usually it's to keep us a chanting daily practice.
Do you mean the invoking the blessings of the Kagyu lineage?
No. No.
I got some great, got the email from Elizabeth.
So it's not bodhicitta, the daily
Yeah,
yoga.
that has actual 4 line reading, chanting. Lama kuyi kongri la mogu ji nyama ma sharna shinlab ji chu ju mengde sen mogundal ne denzos. Okay, if that's fine, you may find.
Do you mean devotion is the head of meditation as a start?
No, not that text.
The song?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, here it is.
Okay.
Want me to read it?
Yeah, the guru part.
The what?
The guru. The guru.
If-
Guru. No, the part that is.
If the sunlight of devotion,
Yes.
if the sunlight of devotion has not dawned upon the Guru's 4 Kaya snow mountain, the flowing river of blessing will not issue forth. So persevere in this mind of devotion.
Yeah, only the Guru's blessing is coming from through our devotion. Without devotion, we would not have a blessing. What does blessing means in the tradition is without the blessing, we don't get siddhis. And which siddhis means we will not get realization. So that is not preference. That is must. So that's why the tradition practice is, of course, is talking about the realization, and that realization only matters because Mahamudra. The Mahamudra, we often treat this as what does Mahamudra in the Chakya, and the Cha in the Tibet we use as a unborn, and Jia is often used as unchanging. So this is unborn, unchanging practice. What is that one? So unborn, unchanging mind nature need to be realized through devotion. That is the most important. And the preliminary practices, what we have, the important parts, the first four, refuge, bodhicitta, vajrasattva, and mandala. And then what is the fifth one? Guru Yoga. Why is called Guru Yoga? Because Guru is our teacher, treat us Vajradhara, and through that blessing we may can realize the Mahamudra, which is mind nature. So those are important part. If you have time and practice, then one day may Mahamudra arise in our mind. Yeah. So if you have these steps, we can chant now, and then we see. Here is some important. Tindwal, invoking blessings. Tangich. Wallo Japson. Tindwal. It's called invoking the blessing of the Gaju lineage. Do you have? This usually come chant in much longer Chu practice we do, and it has a little bit different melody, but if you cannot follow, it's okay. But try maybe first kind of listen, and we can chant then Tibetan and then English. Here are some important things. That's why I want to point out. Dorjin Chongchen Delo Naro Marba Melo Chuje Gambo Ba Aduzan Jeya Gunjen Garma Ba Cheje Chungje Ju Nzi Nam Dan Zhe Da Zar Zon Bar Den Ruban So Samlam Chaja Jela Nani Be Nyame. It's a little bit, the melody is a little bit different. Listen a little. Drita Zarzon Bardan Drupa So Samlam Chaja Jela Nani Be Nyame Drongon Tabo Gajula Sorwa and Devso Gajula Mana Juba and Zino Namda Shinjilo Shinlo Gomji Gombai Zumbai Shin Sinora Gunlai Chajin Me Badan Sende Dutai Chubi Gumchenla Nyangore Shenba Mebare Shinjilo Mogu Gamji Gowore Zongba Shimenga Dirko Injibe Gumchenla Jinda Zorwan Debe Gamchenla Echumi Mogu Jewe Shinjilo Yime Gumji Moyere Zongba Shin Kanjara dobi ngovo zoma de machu tegara injobi gomchen la gomya lo dan char shinji lo namto ngovo re chugo zomba shinji yang maye jeyang chavala manga ruwa charwe gomchen la Kornde yerme dobare shinjelo jewa gunda yanda lama tandrame chuji bala longju jim sadan lamji yoden rabzo ne dorje jange combine your show. Maybe read in English one. Can't do, not do melody, but at least.
Great Vajradhara, Tilopa and Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa and Gampopa, Lord Dharma, you who know all past, present, and future, the Kamrapa, holders of the 4 earlier and 8 later lineages, Drikung, Taglang, Salpa, the glorious Drumpa, and the rest, masters of the profound path of Mahamudra, unequaled protectors of beings, the Dakwo Kagyu. To all of you, the Kagyu Lamas, I pray, inspire me with your blessing to uphold this lineage and follow you to liberation. Revulsion for samsara is the feat of meditation, so it is taught. Free of craving and attachment to things like food and wealth, having severed the ties to this life, inspire this meditator with your blessing to be rid of addiction to possessions and fame. Devotion is the head of meditation, so it is taught. The Lama opens the door to the treasure of the pith instructions. Praying constantly to him, inspire this meditator with your blessing, so that uncontrived devotion is born within me. Non-distraction is the main body of meditation, so it is taught. Whatever arises in that very essence of thought, fresh, natural, unadulterated, leaving it just there, inspire this meditator with your blessing, so my meditation is free from conceptual mind. The nature of thoughts is dharmakaya, so it is taught. They are nothing whatsoever, yet appear as anything at all, arising as an unceasing display. Inspire this meditator with your blessing to realize that samsara and nirvana are not separate. In all my lives, may I never be separate from this perfect Lama, and so enjoy the splendor of Dharma. Mastering completely the qualities of the path and stages, May I swiftly attain the sublime state of Vajradhara.
Yeah, this is a beautiful chanting. Melody is a little bit different, but you can chant without melody. But here, I wanted to point out three things. I think yesterday I tried to say without the text. Maybe I make go switch this. On the page, second page, there's no page number, I guess. Second page, we have this revulsion for samsara is the feat of the meditation. So revulsion. In the Tibetan, xianloch, it means disgusting. Almost like vomiting. It means when you see samsara, you're vomiting. Revulsion, xianba lokpa, means if sometimes you get sick and you sort of nauseation or nausea, that's called xianlok in the Tibetan. So it's not just renunciation. I think sometimes people translate this as renunciation, but it's a revulsion or the nausea that when you see samsara. Here in the Tibetan, of course, we don't have samsara, but that implies maybe here. Is that why the English translator put samsara here? And we know samsara is ourself. Really means revulsion for ourself, which is a feat of meditation. I think yesterday I say head of meditation, but maybe here it's feat of meditation. Well, that's if we don't have this revulsion or disgust of ourself, then we are not going anywhere. There is no legs here. The rest we can read what those are. And then second one is devotion is the head of meditation. So that is very important. If we don't have devotion, then our meditation is headless meditation. And that meditation doesn't count as whether great perfection or Mahamudra. So the devotion is the head of meditation. And then the last or the third one is non-destruction is the main body of meditation. There's no body in the Tibetan, but the main meditation, non-destruction. So when we meditate, since we need undistracted mind is not disrupted by any internal or external conditions or elements. And then we have what really we want to know is then the next paragraph that the nature of thoughts is dharmakaya. So our own thoughts we need to see as a dharmakaya. So until that, then it doesn't count as Mahamudra meditation. So maybe people are sometimes wondering or want to do meditation rather than we are going through the Makanjis Mahamudra. But be patient to we go through this. To understanding is everything. The belief is so powerful that mainly who we are is what we believe. There's nothing much we can change if we don't believe in something. So the belief is called view in a tradition, and even in English conversation. my view is something that means different from others. So they use that, yeah. So we look at yesterday we talked about the main practice has 7. Do you remember? Anyone has notes? Yeah.
View, conduct, meditation, samaya, benefit, faults of not understanding, practice, ground is reality.
Fault of what? Fault of not meditating the Mahamudra.
Oh, yeah, right.
Is there 7? Okay, good. So we'll come first. Why? First, we need to learn what we are doing, what we should believe in. And then here, these texts, the Lord Zawa House text, anyone have time to match this Lord Zawa House Mahamudra to the Garchen Rinpoche's website Mahamudra text? Maybe not. Nobody? Okay, that's fine.
Not yet.
Never yet, maybe. That's good. Yeah. Okay. So this view here we use as 7. The first 7 sort of right after this pay homage to, and then we have this verse to say, please listen, talking directly to Naropa by Delopa. And then we have 7 verses. Verses sometimes have 4 lines, but sometimes 2 lines. But these next 7 are about view according to Tat Karmapa's. Don't use that book. I'm using the Lord Zawa House one. Yeah. Because it has outline that first one, subcategories of view. There is 7. Now we are talking about, and the body has 7, and then first one is a view. View has 7. First is teach. Teach. There is no support, or there is no ground, or there is no basis for Mahamudra. What does that mean? Mahamudra is baseless. Yesterday we talked about Third Karma Bus Mahamudra aspiration prayer. Anyone look at that text? It's a very beautiful text. And there we have, he mainly lay out for what really Mahamudra does. And the basis of Mahamudra is the union of clarity and emptiness. And that is the basis for purification. And things that need to be purified is obscurations, which is the delusional appearances. And then the purifier is Mahamudra, and the result of purification is the sort of 2 kayas that we talk about. And here we know the baseless, which means the mind, clarity, and the emptiness, the union of that has no base because it's empty. Yeah? The first one is the teaching there's no base through the example of space. The space example that shows Mahamudra has no base, because space has no base here. So if we read based on this translation, number 2, which Mahamudra cannot be this number and what I'm talking about, the 7 subcategories of view doesn't match, but I'm just reading just what appears here. Number 2 is Mahamudra cannot be explained, yet in space, what depends on what. Likewise, your own mind, Mahamudra, has no supporting ground. When you relax in an unaltered nature state, the bonds are released and you are undoubtedly freed. So here, the Tibetan, and it's a little bit difficult because you can see the Mahamudra cannot be explained, yet in space, what depends on what. Does English make sense? Or only I don't know English, maybe.
There was one translation of this where it seemed like the point was when we use the word space, we're designating something that doesn't have an, when we use that word, we're designating something that doesn't have an object. So there's no reference that it.
Yeah, but the problem here is Mahamudra cannot explain. Then the yet, does the English sentence structure works. Yet, what is yet is doing here?
However.
Yet.
Like however.
Then however doesn't follow what? Usually however shows however I can teach or something. But there's no, because space has no ground. Why?
When it says yet in space, what depends on what seems to be describing a quality of space, to clarifying in space. What depends on what? This is a quality that space has, but yet seems to be modifying cannot be explained, which has to do with qualifying the statement that space can't be described.
Yeah, even in a Tibetan, it doesn't work, seems, because here is saying Mahamudra cannot be explained, and that is sort of not yet. It's more, for example, alike. Mm-hmm. But you can see the small book or the Garchen Rinpoche's website one, and this line puts right before or the very beginning of the open, not open prayer, the sentence, the beginning, yeah? Beginning sentence, you don't have? Seems people don't read this English these days. According to this, what we have, even though Mahamudra cannot be explained, it's the very first verse.
Which of the translations are we talking about?
If this is Lord Dawa house, and then the Garchen Rinpoche website, people are holding the small book, or you can download this from Darshan Center. Can you read the first verse?
The first verse would be, look well at worldly phenomena.
No, even though Mahamudra cannot be explained,
Yeah.
Naropa, you have accepted suffering and endured hardships.
Probably you have another version that outdated one maybe.
Well, I have the one from Lhasa. Is this what you want to read? Wise Rupa, you have accepted suffering and endured hardships with devotion.
No. We are talking about the Darshan Rinpoche website one.
Although that one,
If you don't have, look at there. So this line, the number two line, please listen a little bit. The number 2 in the Lord's Our House one appears, see, right after the homage to the glorious co-emergence, even though Mahamudra cannot be explained. So that makes sense in there better than put in a number 2, because yet doesn't work here. Why works the first one? It's saying generally Mahamudra cannot teach. There's no way to teach Mahamudra. There's no teaching of Mahamudra because there's no Mahamudra. And similarly, when we have a story of when Buddha attained enlightenment, he didn't want to teach because nobody would understand, or there's nothing to put in a world. But somehow Brahma and Vishnu request to teach, and then he started teaching here. So I'm saying somehow there's 2 versions in this same text, but lines are sometimes move up and down. And what we have, Lord's Our House 1, it seems, even in English, doesn't read well, and even Tibetan doesn't read or doesn't make sense yet here. So it's put even though very beginning, and then generally Mahamudra cannot explain. But however, Naropa, you need to listen to me. I have something to say. What Naropa say is this first use a space example analogy to teach Naropa. And that's why it's about philosophy, it's about the view. And we talked about yesterday, view and ground are a little bit different. And there's the ground, usually the Dan support. And here, the very first one is the teaching there is no basis of Mahamudra through the example of space. So space, we cannot show space, we cannot point space, we cannot, space not rely on anything. So that's why Mahamudra is like space. There's no support. That is the first one. In the space, what depends on what? That seems use what we call this in English. What kind of question is this? Seems like a rhetorical question. And what does that mean? Rhetorical question. Means answer itself. It's look like a question, but it's mainly answering. The space doesn't depend on anywhere, or space doesn't have any support. What depends on what means there's nothing depend on anything. Yeah. So that is a rhetorical question that you use. So that's why here that it doesn't work well with these two lines together. So Mahamudra seems work better with the first verse, yeah. Or you don't agree, that's fine. There is two choices anyway. Originally in Tibetan we have two, that's why appearing the English translation we have two. The rest are kind of straightforward, unless if we look at Garchen Rinpoche's website one, pretty much jumbled up and down. So that's why it's difficult to find a match these two texts. And that was our homework, but it's maybe a little bit difficult. You can find everything in these texts, the Lodzawa House one in Garchen Rinpoche and Garchen Rinpoche one in Lodzawa House, but everything is moved around and it's a little bit difficult to categorize or to outline. So these 7 outlines, the first one is the space. The analogy of space shows that Mahamudra has no support. What does that mean? No support means there's no base, nothing to hold on. Our mind nature is the same. If we read, Mahamudra cannot be explained yet in a space that doesn't work yet. What depends on what? Likewise, your own mind, Mahamudra, has no supporting ground. When you relax in an unaltered nature state, the bonds are released and you are undoubtedly freed. And we are originally free. So Mahamudra and the Greek perfection, why is so powerful? Because we are understanding the ultimate reality. In ultimate reality, there is no obscurations, no hindrance, and so forth, like space. Space itself doesn't need to liberate it. It's already liberated, or there's no bondage, yeah. So the first one is that one. And then second one is it teaches or maybe again, the space the analogy of space shows or demonstrates that our nature of mind, or the Mahamudra, is not obscured by the concept or thoughts. The first one is our mind has no support, no base. There's no mind, yeah?
Can we just simply say we dissolve ourselves into nothingness, which is what we...
Maybe you need to use, because online people want to hear, could be.
I just wondered if we can just say that we dissolve ourselves into
Maybe we can
nothing.
bring down that we are not using that one.
dissolve ourselves into nothing through our devotion and practice. And then
Can you say a little bit louder?
we dissolve ourselves into nothingness through our devotion and practice. And it's a return to, when we were conceived, just our essentialness without all the stories that we accumulate through conception all the way, into our birth and into our life.
Yeah. Here, this is the view, yeah? View. View means our understanding. Understanding of what? Understanding of reality. That's called view. Is there something to dissolve? So that's the question. Yeah, that's we trying to understand. Correct view is there's nothing to dissolve because there's no concept in like space. So space itself has no obscuration, no cloud, no base, no support, no ground. So I want to show that dissolve or dissolution or purification, these are just concepts that what we have, not the nature itself is in that way. It's important. That's why it's important to show the view is very important to understand. There's no dissolution. There's no dissolve process.
Are the thoughts and concepts also Mahamudra?
Those are Dharmakayas. Do you remember earlier we chant our concepts are Dharmakaya. It's a little bit hard to, of course, we accept in that way. Once we accept in that way, then it's easy to liberate ourselves. And sometimes maybe not, Mahamudra is not for everyone, could be. It's if we don't want to accept our concept, our Dharmakaya, or there's nothing to dissolve, then it's that doesn't make sense to anyone, then it's a little bit difficult to accept what Ganges Mahamudra is trying to say. Maybe online has something. Yes. Maybe some. Could be. Yeah, exercise. Yeah. 6 narrow of yoga. It's need a little bit stretch.
So I understand the ultimate level of Mahamudra that we're obtaining, striving for. But wouldn't we say on the relative level that we still have plenty to dissolve? I know our Buddha nature is pure, but right now I know my mind is not in a non-conceptual state. I can find moments of awareness where it drops, but then conceptual mind comes back as my mindfulness goes away. So could we think of it as relative versus ultimate? Ultimately, yes, there's nothing to dissolve, but at the moment, my mind definitely needs to dissolve something because I'm not there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. And Definitely. So that's why I'm saying that the view and how much we can do is a little bit. Here is talking about the actual or the highest view of Mahamudra. Mahamudra is highest view. And whether we can accept this view or not is another issue. Comes to practice, of course, then we are really dealing with what capacity we have to practice. And then there's 84,000 levels of practice that we try to purify it. Yesterday we talked about karma bus. We need to purify. The things need to be purified is the temporary delusional appearances or thinkings. But here is talking about the main question is whether these concepts exist or not. If these concepts exist, then how we can purify? So it's a little bit different. What you are saying is I think almost correct, but Mahamudra and Dzogchen, we don't really separate that much ultimate truth and relative truth, because these two are also we categorized by our concept. This is truth, this is not truth, it's also some sort of bondage, yeah? Exactly, we need to purify it. That's no problem. But somehow we need to get here. Until this level, no matter what we do, we're not really get there yet, 100%.
Lama, I have a question. I'm from online. So earlier today morning, you mentioned that Dzogchen is about like directly looking at the nature of the mind, whereas in Mahamudra, we develop like devotion to the Guru. But I mean, even in the second verse, which is directly telling us to look at the nature of the mind without altering anything. So I'm a bit confused about what is Dzogchen then and how it is different from this text, which is also telling us to do the same thing.
I think, yeah, probably my English. I didn't say in that way. I said in a Mahamudra tradition, Dzogchen, there is called Rigpa Ngotu, to introduce the nature of Rigpa, which is directly involve student to teacher to student to introduce whether beginning or advanced student, or it's directly something that introduced to immediately you can access to practice and put in practice. But Mahamudra, they don't do that until students are ripened. Through the devotion, and devotion is main activator of the Mahamudra, rather than it's just introduce mind nature directly to the student very beginning. However, Dzogchen could introduce mind nature at the beginning. Here, introduce means not just a teaching of understanding, as there is actual procedure or empowerment to introduce mind nature to students. Is that clarifies?
Yes, I guess so. This is an advanced text, and you give this transmission only to someone who's ripened with the other practices in Mahamudra, whereas in Dzogchen, even if you're a beginner, they give these pith instructions directly to you.
Uh, I
I just want to make sure my understanding is correct. So something like this text would be given to an advanced student who's done Guru Yoga, whereas in Dzogchen, it would be right in the beginning.
Yeah, here
Okay.
we have teaching of Mahamudra, but there is no actual pointing out meditation teaching
Okay.
in here.
Okay.
And there's no empowerment in here. But Dzogchen, we have Rigpi Zalwang, they call the empowerment of dynamism of Rigpa, or the, what we call, Zal. No, Zal is Rigpi Zalwang. Sometimes they use dynamism or the dynamic energy of Rigpa, Zalwang, the empowerment of that. So which then lamas introduce mind nature. They call pointing outs. So this is sort of instruction, not pointing outs. It's a little bit different. And the pointing outs are not given at the beginning at the Mahamudra. That's what I understand. And people can rise realization through devotion. If you are a good practitioner, then its rise will rise. Yeah. But these things, if you didn't have the Dzogchen actual pointing out and Rigpi Zalwang, then it's a little bit difficult to say what's the difference between, because the teaching itself is more description of what mind nature is, and people should meditate without any distraction and without concept and without any proliferation of thoughts. But that is even sutras, we have that. But actual methods to how to meditate is not a level of the practice. And here, of course, Naropa is whole life is practice and hardship and devotion. So Telopa finally give this teaching to him. So meant to be already ripened. So it's easy to teach. Teach with slipping his sender to his head, and suddenly he got it. Yeah. So that's a sort of empowerment in the Dzogchen tradition. So we are not ready to that maybe.
Will you slap us?
Yeah. These days we have tasers, yeah. So that's for that, I think. But anyway, it's good to have both, because if you are ready, you can practice Dzogchen. If you are still want to slow down a little bit and be really careful to rising naturally in your mind, maybe Mahamudra is good for. And however, we need to cultivate devotion and mindfulness. That's a term I only can use, but the Tibetan have Chen Xi, Chen Bai and Xi Xi.
Can you spell that?
Chen?
T-E-N?
No, G D-R-A-N, Tran. Shi, Tremba, yeah. Tremba is kind of a recollection. Shi Xin is vigilante. So together, sometimes I think English is mindfulness. We don't have much choices. And what Milarepa says, now I understand what he's saying. He say, "Tu sum jarvi shunglam tu junchi me bachambai." So all the Buddhas in the 3 times, their path is uninterrupted mindfulness. So uninterrupted mindfulness is the path for all the Buddhas. So that is close to the Mahamudra practice. If you have very good mindfulness practice with devotion, that's counted as Mahamudra. But not in the Dzogchen. Dzogchen, actual practices, you have to sit down, yeah? But later is talk about how to meditate. How to meditate is also, until we get pointing out instruction, it's a little bit difficult to see how we really practice. We can understand what does this mean, but actual experience or realization is not a concept, so we cannot use concept. But here, at least we have 7 examples, way to understand what our nature of our mind is. Questions? Yes. I think you have a question. Okay.
So this is just a bit about the Guru Yoga and devotion, or maybe the relationship between the Guru Yoga and the practice of Mahamudra. So, for example, in Karchen Rinpoche Guru Yoga, there is a mantra that invokes Mahamudra, and as we're practicing Guru Yoga, are we sort of asking for the realization of Mahamudra to arise in our mind? Is that what's going on? So maybe if you can say about the relationship between Guru Yoga and Mahamudra.
Oh, definitely. If Gajuba's everything, we are begging gurus to give blessing to, we may realize Mahamudra. We are not alone. Brian?
I have a question.
Okay, maybe you are first, because you are already here.
Just very quick. So this first stanza talking about space, and is it related to kadak? Could we think about it in terms of kadak from a Dzogchen lens? And then what is the Tibetan word for space? Is it long, or what word is being used there?
Okay. Mm-hmm. So kada, if you are not familiar with Tibetan term, kada is, ka means primordially, tak means pure, primordially pure, or primordial purity. That's used in a Dzogchen tradition, which describe the reality. In the sutras we use emptiness, and the Dzogchen term use primordial purity, and the question is this space. Is use space? Yeah. Space as same as this first verse as same as this concept of kata. I think so. But this Tibetan term, space here, use namka. Namka is really space. It's not long or yin or any other. It's used as space because this is the example. Long and yin are actual when describe things is actual thing, but namka is what we can. We think there's a namka, there is space, yeah. Without space, universe cannot expand. Science think it's expanding, where I'm not sure. Okay, online, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I feel disconnected being on Zoom a little bit. I'm hoping that Kempo can talk some about the distinction between ultimate and relative truth, because to understand, we must exist in the relative kind of way. But what does it mean, the difference?
Yes, of course. The benefit of ultimate reality and conventional reality is we can hold on to concept that we can categorize, oh, I'm talking about this time is ultimate truth, so everything's empty, and I'm now talking about relative truth. There is 6 realms and even kind of illusional, delusional, or the dream-like like appearances, but still there's something we can talk about. That's is relative truth. Then often, of course, these two are not different. It's treated as a union. But comes to Mahamudra and Dzogchen, is these two are just another categories that more complicated than helping us to understand. So that's why earlier we are talking about whether this is ultimate truth or relative truth is then we are already decided that these two are different. And if these two are different, then we are making these two categories as real. So that seems not really working, but since if we are practice or meditate oriented teaching, then sometimes maybe we don't need to worry much about this ultimate and relative truth that much. And so we can treat this Mahamudra as no base, and because Mahamudra then when introduced all phenomena are mind, mind is empty, empty is luminosity, and finally is union of luminosity and emptiness. So there is not much division of ultimate and relative truths. So sometimes Mahamudra and Dzogchen criticize Madhyamikas because they fall into two truths. Cannot have two truths yet. If truth means one, only one. We need
Thank you, Kempo.
Okay, yes.
When I hear or I'm reflecting on the Mahamudra as no basis, like space, I have the thought like, oh, then it has no causes. And I'm wondering if that's problematic and like saying, oh, it doesn't have cause.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is a little bit different than our generally teach interdependence and causal reality, causal connections. The here want to say it's beyond cause and result. We there's no obscuration means there's no karma. Yeah, karma usually when we talk about the cause of samsara or suffering is the karma and afflictions and ignorance. So here I want to say our mind nature is beyond that. Until we recognize that, we are in this vicious cycle of karmic karmically done vicious cycle of samsara. That's until we become beyond karma, our suffering is inevitable to think about. So think about it's a little bit abnormal. That's why we call Mahamudra. Yeah. If you are normal people, or we are normal people, maybe Mahamudra is a little bit difficult because Tilopa, why he need to catch fishes in the river? Do you know?
I had to catch fishes in the river
Yeah.
to eat.
But I heard he just throw back in the water. Yeah.
Make coming connection with the fish. So that the fish can be liberated in the next life.
Yeah. If there's no karma, how he can liberate fish? There's no base, yeah. Okay, then third one. Third one is
Kempola?
No, we're all thinking about fishes. I want to go back.
yeah.
Kempola?
Yes.
I have a question. In the Jonang view, is there Mahamudra and Dzogchen practice in the Jonang view as well, or not?
Chonang.
Jonang view.
Chonang, you mean the lineage Chonang?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Chonang would do more Mahamudra, but if they're based on their tradition would be empty of others. That is their sort of main view, and yeah, mostly Mahamudra. What is third? A third one is the analogy of cloud. The analogy of clouds is also shows that the space itself is not covered by or cloud by or obscured by the cloud. Do you remember? The space cannot be obscured by cloud. Why?
Because there is no clouds? Or wait a minute, space cannot be
Obscured by cloud.
because it's not, because they're not real?
What do we say
They're
here?
all one, because it's all the same.
When mists and clouds disappears into the sky, They neither go nor remain anywhere. Likewise, the waves of thoughts rising in the mind subside when mind sees itself. So the obscuration or thoughts, there is no origin of thoughts. They're not coming from anywhere. And once they dissipate, they're not going anywhere. And the space itself has no base or no support, no any substance. How can be obscured by something else? Yeah. So the mind is always like space. And the obscuration we think about then like a cloud. If we think the clouds obscurated space, then maybe we need to clarify or purify it, but the nature of the space cannot be obscured by clouds, then maybe we don't need to purify or remove the cloud. So that's the third.
Just by changing our thought about it, it can be gone?
Maybe there's no change in the thought. Now I push a little bit further.
Say that again.
Maybe there's no change in the thoughts. Yes.
The thoughts are self-liberating. They just dissipate on their own.
Yeah, what we call self-liberates. Self-liberates, what does really self-liberate means? It's a little bit difficult. Sometimes we think liberate means need to transform into something. A little bit, so self-liberate is often used in the Dzogchen tradition. But really self-liberate means there's not, how to say, there's no changing and there's no liberation. It doesn't need to liberate because already liberated. That's called self-liberation. And that's why liberation doesn't change or doesn't transform. It's a little bit hard to accept. Yeah, yedro. They liberated, primordially liberated. We are not changing the appearances, but appearance itself doesn't bother us. That's sort of liberation. Okay, that's the third one. And then the fourth one is called the analogy of space again. It shows that this mind nature or the Mahamudra is not obscured by karma or the karmic obscuration. So our mind is never obscured by, my nature is never obscured by any karmically done or karmic causality. So one thing, if our mind is obscured or clouded, then we cannot purify. It's obscured. As space transcends colors and forms, is changeless and not tint black or white. So too, your own mind is beyond color and shape, untainted by light and the dark phenomena of good and evil. Means evil is people like to use evil because they think that's cool, but I don't think that's not good to use anyway. Evil is a very, very strong word, I think, in English, but it's just good and bad, or something that's positive and negative, and not necessarily evil. So this shows that the karma is not working on in a space. And it's something to something as support. There is no supporting, then there is no basis for karma in our mind nature. And space and suns and clouds, these are very useful to us. It shows something, and the analogy. So we have already 3 analogies of space, and then one is cloud. Now, 5th one. It shows that the analogy of sun shows that our mind nature or the Mahamudra is not obscured by samsaric stains. Are you familiar with that? Our mind is not stained by samsaric thing. Have you ever learned Buddha nature text? Buddha nature text is sometimes maybe important to look at this Madhyamaka text and Buddha nature text to see how it presents these qualities of our minds, the empty aspect and luminous aspect. And the Buddha nature text, it often shows that these two are 2 separate things. No matter what, take cloud, it's never attached to or the obscured sun. Just between our view that the sun, that the cloud blocked the sun, but sun cannot block by cloud itself. Do you have a question? Okay. If one question, and then we need to stop maybe, yeah?
Kenpola,
Yes?
do you mean Tathagata Garbha texts? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Thank you.
Tathagata Garbha, yeah, there is talking about the samsaric phenomena cannot obscurate the nirvanic Buddha nature. These two are 2 separate things. And that's why the Chonongpa, I think earlier asking Chonongpa's view is empty of others. Other means our mind nature or the Tathagata Garbha or the Buddha nature cannot be obscured by other samsaric things. Means, yes.
Prior to encountering Mahamudra teachings and this lineage, I had heard teachings about before becoming a fully liberated Buddha, not only do we remove the obscurations, but the subtle stains left by them.
Yeah.
Is that something different? Like?
Yes.
Okay.
Different or this view? view is different. Whether we are we have no Buddha nature, no enlightened being inside, if we can believe that as well, or we are fully enlightened being, or fully enlightened being is our nature. That is another view. So that's why it's sometimes these different lineages have a big disagreement, especially our Gelugpa tradition. The Buddha is, we need to gathering from scratch. There's no Buddha nature in here. There is no Buddha in ourselves. We need to make Buddha. And Gaju and Nyingma tradition, our nature is already Buddha. We just need to realize that. So that's why the Mahamudra and Great Perfection teachings, we can access that now. That's called Mahamudra and so Great Perfection meditation. So Gelugpa, we don't have that meditation. Any Gelugpas here? We don't do that. We don't just. We want to make a new Buddha. Brand new Buddha. Yeah. Nyingma and Gaju, we have already old Buddha in our system, so we don't need to build anything. Up to you. One more question?
Rinpoche, I have very limited learning and thinking on this, but what I was thinking was that even though the Gelugpa and the Nyingma say different things, but it's not different, it's the same. Because instead of saying rediscover your Buddha nature, when they say construct a new one. It's just one different way to say it. So like if you're building a house and you want to build a new house or finding your old house or whatever, so you can say, well, just scratch that and just start all over. Because everybody, you have to have Buddha nature in order to become Buddha. If you don't have Buddha nature, there's no way. There is absolutely no way that I heard of that Buddha will be appearing to you and say, you can be a Buddha. If you don't have one within here, it's pointless.
We need to very be careful. If we have Gelugpa friends here, then they think we need to create a new Buddha. Not in here, somewhere, not formed yet. We need to build, so that's important, and that's why looking at your mind is wasting. And every time they think there's nothing to look at.
Yeah. Nicola, can I ask a question?
No.
Okay.
We do after lunch, okay? Because
Good.
it's over time.
All good.
Or are you really urgent to ask something, short question?
No, I already ordered for have lunch. It's okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, we will resume 2 o'clock Chicago time. Oh, tovne nyebe janan pamjede Yega nanji balon drubaye zibenzol droa droa jo. That is the early one. No? Oh yeah, that's one. Okay, thank you. Maybe again, together.
By this merit, may I attain omniscience. Having defeated the enemies, my wrongdoings, may I liberate all beings who are tossed in the ocean of samsara by the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Precious, glorious root guru, seated on a lotus at my heart, hold me with kindness and bestow accomplishments of body, speech, and mind. I pray for the excellent health of the guru. I pray that the guru lives long, really long life. I pray that the guru's activities spread far and wide. Grant blessings that I may not be separated from my guru. May every sick individual be quickly cured of disease. May all illness, without exception, never occur under any circumstance. By the force of this powerful merit, may the aspirations of the benefactors and their circles be accomplished within this very life. May all obstacles be pacified. May everything be auspicious. And may their wishes be fulfilled according to the Dharma. Through this virtue, may all sentient beings in the three realms and all the deceased who wander in the bardo abandon taking birth in evil states and attain the happiness of higher birth. Just as the hero Manjushri realized things as they are, so too did Samattabhadra. I will follow in their path by perfectly dedicating all these virtues. Since all such dedications have been praised as supreme by the Buddhas of the three times, I perfectly dedicate all my roots of virtue toward excellent conduct. Blessings of the Buddhas who attain, and by the blessings of the undivided Sangha order, may my aspirations be fulfilled according to this dedication.
Okay, now it's okay.
And by the pure and inconceivable nature of the Dharma Dhatu, may these prayers be fulfilled accordingly. And all beings, samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, precious, perfectly complete awakening.
I think we can chant this evening more. Okay.
Thank you, Kampola.
Gracias, Sophie.
Thank you, Kempola. Thank you.
Thank you, Kampo and Sangha. Dashi Delek.